The last flight. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Flight 739 soared through the twilight sky, en route to New York. The Boeing 737's cabin was alive with the hum of conversation and the soft glow of reading lights. Among the passengers were Emily and James, a young couple returning from their honeymoon in Paris, and Detective Mark, an off-duty detective heading home after a grueling case. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more thrilling stories like this. Emily glanced out of the window, her fingers intertwined with James. "Isn't it beautiful?" she whispered, marveling at the endless expanse of clouds below. James smiled, squeezing her hand. "It sure is," he replied, leaning back in his seat, feeling the comforting hum of the engines. Suddenly, the plane jolted violently, causing drinks to spill and passengers to gasp in shock. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom, strained and urgent. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. We're experiencing some technical difficulties." Detective Mark instinctively scanned the faces around him, noting the rising panic. He unbuckled his seatbelt and stood up, moving toward the cockpit. As he approached, the flight attendant, Claire, intercepted him, her face pale. "Sir, please return to your seat," she insisted, her voice trembling. "I need to speak with the captain," Mark said firmly, showing his badge. Claire hesitated before nodding and stepping aside. Inside the cockpit, the scene was chaotic. The captain and co-pilot frantically flipped switches and scanned instruments. "What's going on?" Mark demanded. The captain, Captain Miller, looked up, sweat beading on his forehead. "We've lost control of the plane's systems," he said grimly. "We're being pulled into an electromagnetic anomaly." Mark's eyes widened as he glanced out the windshield, where a strange, pulsating light loomed ahead. "What is that?" he asked, fear creeping into his voice. The co-pilot, First Officer Daniels, shook his head. "We don't know," he admitted, "but it's pulling us in fast." Back in the cabin, the passengers were in full panic mode. Emily clutched James' arm, her heart pounding. "What's happening?" she cried, her voice shaking. James held her close, trying to comfort her. "It's going to be okay," he whispered, though his own voice betrayed his fear. As the plane hurtled towards the anomaly, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the cabin into darkness. The passengers screamed, and the sound of metal groaning under immense pressure filled the air. Captain Miller's voice echoed through the intercom one last time. "Brace for impact." With a deafening roar, the plane was engulfed in blinding light, and then silence. When Emily opened her eyes, she found herself in a twisted, nightmarish landscape, the remnants of the plane scattered around her. James was nowhere to be seen. "James!" she called out, her voice trembling with fear and desperation. As she stumbled through the wreckage, she came across Detective Mark, bloody but alive. What is this place?" she whispered. Mark shook his head, his expression grim. "I don't know, but we need to stick together," he said, his voice resolute. The survivors, now trapped in a mysterious, otherworldly realm, would have to navigate their way through unimaginable horrors, their only hope being to find a way back home. But the question remained, would they ever escape the nightmare that awaited them in the last flight?